Hi guys, hi, how's it going? How y'all doing today? Hopefully today finds you well. Today I am doing my haul in retrospect, which is a video that I have been doing here on my channel for quite some time, where I go through all the products that I brought into my collection this time last year and tell you my thoughts, my opinions about those products. Have I used them? Have I not used them? Why or why not? Did I declutter them? Are they gone out of my collection? All those things. So I hope that you're here for it. I have a good time with this. It's always good to reflect and look back at the purchases that we make. And these videos actually have helped me really come to terms with the fact that I needed to do a no-buy this year. This is my no-buy year because there were so many products previously to like lately that were in these haul in retrospects that I never even used, that I brought into my collection a year later, hadn't even used. And there's one product in today's mix that kind of falls into that same boat. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, I hope you keep on watching. For those of you new here, hi, my name is Donna, lover of all things high and colorful beauty and self-care. And ultimately, this is my self-care. I enjoy coming out here, talking to you about the good, the bad, the ugly, all the things that are coming into my collection, leaving my collection, and just really giving you my thoughts and opinions about all the things. Ultimately, I just like to talk about makeup. And if you also like to talk about makeup, I think that you'll find that this channel soothes your soul in the way that it soothes mine. And I hope that you'll want to subscribe before you go. And with that said, let's roll into this haul in retrospect for the products that I brought into my collection in the June makeup rehab last year. All right. So as many of you know, a lot of the products that came into my collection over the last several years has been a mix of me purchasing and me getting gratis. And I don't know if I should be happy to say that most of what's in today's video has been a purchase, because there's a lot. But I do have 4 products that came into my collection. Well, I guess 3 products that came into my collection via gratis last year this time. So let's go through those first. The first one is this. This is the Benefit Du La La. This is their version of a liquid luminizer, and it's actually quite pretty. I have used it several times. I really like using it with a foundation, so like mixing it into a foundation, because in my humble opinion, I don't know if it necessarily picks up my makeup underneath, or if it's like maybe too thick and therefore it just looks funny on my skin. But I do think that it creates a really nice balanced luminosity to the skin, and therefore really like to mix it with maybe some of my lower coverage foundation products. So for those of you new around here, I'm not really a full face of crazy matte, like hide everything kind of makeup person. I really like a skin tint or a medium at most kind of foundation. So I have a lot of lighter weight foundations in my collection, a lot of skin tints in my collection that I like to mix things like this with, just to give myself a little bit of luminosity. I have used it as a highlighter in the past. I just don't prefer it that way. It still lives in my liquid highlight bin in my inventory and as a highlighter in my inventory, but I do prefer to use it as a mix-in for foundations. I was also given the Benefit Professional Power Powder as a gratis item in the month of June, and I have to be honest, I love this powder. So I'm not typically a powder wearer, and I would say that this isn't 100% translucent, even though it says it's translucent. I do think that this is a powder that you have to be very, very careful with in terms of, you know, making sure that you're only putting on the smallest amount so that it doesn't, well, I dropped that, so that it doesn't get like cakey or really impact the color of the foundation underneath. It's a foundation, or it's a powder that I don't wear on my under eyes, but on the rest of my face, it is beautiful, and it is really a perfecting kind of powder. I feel like it's really finely milled, but not as finely milled as like some, right? I also am a person who prefers a pressed powder over a loose powder, so I don't use it very often, but when I do use it, I am always pleased with the outcome of it on my skin. I also received a Bad Gal Bang mascara. You guys know this is one of my favorite mascaras, and that mascara specifically has been emptied. It actually, I think, was one that I emptied at the beginning of this year. Kept it in my collection for far too long in use, but I did empty that at the beginning of this year. And I was also given a Professional matte primer. I'm not a person that really loves a matte finish on my skin, so I did try it, but then ended up giving it to my mom. As far as matte primers go, it is a very hydrating matte primer. I just didn't like what it looked like on my skin. And honestly, I love Benefit, but Benefit primers has never been something that I have advocated for or recommended. I just don't love their primers, and that's okay. I love a lot of their other products. So that is it for Gratis.
Oh my god, why is my eye itching? Why is my nose running?
That is it for Gratis for the month of June. So a very small amount of Gratis for the month of June. And now I have a whole plethora of things that I actually purchased that I'd like to walk through. So in no particular order, I'm just going to go through. So let's see. Let's go in order of, I guess, how I put things on my face. So I did buy 2 primers. I bought the Hourglass Veil Mineral Primer. This was a repurchase. This is one of my Holy Grail primers. I really love this primer because of how it looks on my skin. It makes everything look very airbrushed. It looks very silky, and it feels very silky as well. So this was a repurchase that I brought back into my collection, as was this. Now this is a little bit different. It's a little more moisturizing. I do feel like this also creates a really nice, like almost airbrushed appearance, but it's more for moisturization. As a matter of fact, this is the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base, which is a moisturizing primer. But when you go to buy it in a store, it's actually like skewed into skincare versus skewed into makeup because it's more of a skincare item. I use it as primer. I love it as primer, but these 2 primers right here are my Holy Grail primers, and I really don't want to ever be without them in my collection. One is more for perfecting and the other one is for moisturizing. I guess from primer, I would typically go to eyeshadow. So I did bring in 2 Melt palettes last year at this time. Number 1 being the Smoke Sessions 2, which is stunning. I love a purple. I love a purple palette, and I have the Smoke Sessions 1, so I had to have Smoke Sessions 2. Melt is one of my, favorite brands from the perspective of an eyeshadow formula, and I really loved playing with this palette. Now I do have a review on these 2 palettes together, I do believe, and I will stick that up in the cards for you, but otherwise all of my palette reviews are linked down in my description box as well under like playlists to watch. But I was really surprised by this palette and how like some of these shimmers really were impactful on the eye. So beautiful, really stunning, and I feel like is a palette that I'm glad that I didn't miss out on. The Bailey Sarian Fatally Yours I purchased because I love Bailey. Bailey is somebody that I watch religiously, never miss an episode, and really wanted to support her. And this palette is also really beautiful, grungy, really spoke to me from my like Seattle based childhood, like kind of, nostalgia vibes. But I didn't love this palette as much as I wanted to love this palette, but I also do think that it's a great palette. I feel like these mattes in here weren't as nearly as fickle as some of the Melt mattes tend to be, and I really enjoyed the color story of this because it's just so unique to my collection. So really happy to also have this palette in my collection. And again, I will stick the reviews for these palettes that I have used up in my cards for you so that you can easily find them. I also purchased the Lunar Beauty Nude Prism palette. This was a palette that had been on my list for a while, but I am more of a color lover. If you guys have been around, you know that. So I neglected to pull the trigger on it for a very long time, but I went into my JCPenney, and JCPenney has their own little beauty section, and it carries a lot of like indie, hard to find like in the regulatory beauty space makeup in it. And this was one of the palettes that was there. And I love Lunar Beauty. I love Manny. So I saw it. I picked it up. I do love this palette. Do not get me wrong. But I do think that there's a little bit of redundancy in this palette. But I mean, I'm not unhappy that I have it. Do I think that it's going to be a palette that I use all the time? Probably not, just because of the sheer color story of it. I knew the color story before I bought it, and I'm really happy to have it in my collection, even though there is a little bit of redundancy in it, as I stated. And if you watch the review that I have on this palette, it says the same thing, but my reviews do carry like swatches. They showcase pictures of eye looks I was able to create with the palettes, those kind of things. So I encourage you to go down there and check them out. And then lastly, from an eyeshadow perspective, I did buy 3 Natasha Denona minis. Now, if you had asked me a month ago, I would have sworn I bought these in October, and I had plenty more time to get use out of all of them prior to it hitting this year mark where I'm like, oh, I didn't use all these things and it's been a year. I have used these two. I have Mini Nude and Mini Biba. I have used these two. I used these two through Deca Panning, No Pan Left Behind. So really happy to have gotten use out of them. I have not yet done a review on these two palettes. I will probably in conjunction with this one as well sometime very soon. But the one that I have not used is this one, and it is Mini Nude. So I would say that Biba is really warm toned, and Nude kind of leans a little bit more neutral while also still being warm, and then Glam leans very cool toned. So it doesn't surprise me that the Cool Tone palette is the last one that I have yet to use, but I think I brought a 4th one in too at some point. Maybe it was Mini Rose, maybe not this month, but I'm happy to have them in my collection. But I don't have a whole lot of her minis because a lot of her minis repeat shadows out of the bigger palettes, and I have a quite extensive Natasha Denona larger palette collection. But those ones, as I said, don't have reviews on them yet, but they will sometime very, very soon, because they're some of the only palettes that are left over in my drawer of shame. So the next I think would be a foundation, and for foundation I do have a few here. I brought in the About Face Performer foundation, and while I love this foundation, I don't love the component. When you pull this out, it's a doe foot, and when you pull it out, if you're not super careful, the doe foot is just big enough that when you pull it out or pop it in, it spits at you. So you definitely want to angle this away from you if you are going to get it and try and use it. You also want to make sure that you're not wearing white because it will get all over your white. But once it's on your face, I don't think that it does anything like drastic like that. I do feel like I picked up the wrong shade, so I don't use this nearly as much. I need to mix it with other foundations when I use it, and a white mixer, because it is a little bit too warm for me. It appears very kind of orangish on my skin, not necessarily completely orange. But you know what's funny about this is I was matched to another shade and I thought I knew better, so I bought this shade instead. And this will teach me to listen to the ones that are there to match you, because that's the whole reason why I haven't worn that foundation very much, is because I feel like it's not a great match. It is a wonderful foundation though. I feel like it sits on the skin really beautifully. It wears away really beautifully, and I mean, I don't notice a difference between where it is on my skin and where it isn't on my skin late in the day, even after 8 hours of wear. So I really do like that foundation. I would say it's a medium coverage foundation, and I think that that's what it's advertised as well. I also bought this one, which is the Win Beauty Hydrating Skin Enhancing Tint. It's got SPF 30 in it, and it's made to be like just a tint right on your skin. That is part of what the name is, and it provides a lot more coverage than I thought it was going to provide. I love the color of the component. This is my favorite color ever. Chartreuse green is such a beautiful color. I think that the color of the foundation also suits my skin quite well. I've worn this several times. It is a lot thicker than I thought it was going to be for a skin tint. As you guys can see, right there. Oh, as you guys can see right there. But I do feel like it is just so pretty when you blend it in. It really does look like your skin, but better. Obviously, that was a whole lot of that foundation on my hand, but it does match me quite a bit better than it appeared to match me on my hand. But I just feel like it's a your skin but better kind of skin tint, and that's what I'm here for. The other foundation that I got was the Natasha Denona High Glam Powder Foundation. Mine is in the shade N4 and 5, and I do feel like this is a really good match to my skin tone. However, I do not wear this as foundation. I'm not really a powder foundation girly, so I do use this more as a powder on my face for a little bit of extra coverage if I'm not getting enough from the skin tints that I want in certain places. I also use it straight over the top of a primer as just a foundation, as a foundation type product to give me a light layer of coverage without it feeling heavy. This is a really beautiful powder, whether you're using it for a powder foundation or using it for a powder. I would say if you're using it for a powder, you of course need to get a really good skin match to you. The great thing is this comes in like 40 different shades. I do have it in my Shop My Stash right now. It's been in my Shop My Stash for a couple months. It's actually in its like second rotation of being in my Shop My Stash, and I really actually quite love this powder foundation. I will even use this powder on my under eyes because it is really pretty finely milled. Like, it doesn't like just sit on top of the skin like a lot of powders do, and especially powder foundations. Next would be concealer. I only bought one concealer. I don't buy concealer very often, but the same person who talked me into these talked me into this. TJ, love your face, but I didn't need this concealer, but I'm happy to have it. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Radiant Concealer. I love Charlotte Tilbury cheek products, but I haven't found a like an eye or a face product yet that I really firmly love one way or another from her. I do like this a lot. I think that it is a concealer that I might repurchase. It is a nice, like, really thin serum-like consistency that creates a decent amount of coverage. I think that it's a little bit more like maybe sticky than what I am used to from my concealer, but it doesn't stay that way. I think it's got a really nice level of coverage to it. It's a really great color match to me. This one is in For Fair. So it's a really nice brightening color match to me. It's got a nice like olive undertone to it, so it matches my skin quite well. I actually quite like this concealer and could see myself repurchasing it if I was ever in the market for a new concealer, but I have like literally 7 concealers in my collection. I feel like that's maybe too much, so I don't need any more concealers, but I did like that concealer. I don't love the doe foot on it. The doe foot I feel like is too small. There's a good happy medium for a doe foot, and while I feel like this one is a good one for like lips, I don't feel like this one is a good one for concealer. I feel like it needs to be a little bit larger for concealer because it is so little and thin. It's actually kind of pokey to some extent. So I don't love the doe foot on it, but I do like the concealer a lot. Next would be bronzer or contour, and I did purchase one bronzer, and that would be the Bobbi Brown bronzing powder, and I got mine in the shade Natural. And you know, I went into the store and picked this up in store and honestly got it home and was like, this is a completely different color. I swear this is a completely different color. But as dark as this seems, and it seems really dark, it actually blends onto my skin really pretty beautifully. It's not nearly as orange as it's coming off in this monitor, I promise you that. I feel like it is like one of the perfect bronzers for my skin tone, in that it is light without being too light, dark without being too dark, and it's also got a nice like undertone to it that it doesn't appear too orange on my skin. Like I said, it's way less orange than what it's showing up on the monitor. It is a little bit warmer than what I typically go for in a bronzer, because I do like my bronzers to be you know, that happy medium between a contour shade and a bronzing shade, because I don't often contour and bronze at the same time, although I have been a lot lately because I have a contour in my project pan and have had for like 2 years now. So I shouldn't say I don't contour anymore, because I do, because that's in my project pan. But I do like my bronzers to kind of steer either way on that road, just in case I only want to use that one product. That one is just a little bit more warm than I prefer. But it's kind of like a pinky warm versus an orange warm. And I can dig that because it kind of looks like a combination. It looks like a bronzer. And I kind of like that. Speaking of bronzer, because we're going to go straight into blush from this point, I also purchased this, and this is the Live Tinted Hue Beam, and I think this is supposed to be a bronzer. It is called the Blushing Bronzer Duo. I think that it's really hard for this to be a duo product. Obviously, you can see that this is the bronzer, right? And then we go like a little bit lighter in bronzer, and then we go blush, and then we go like, I don't know, like more blush, or maybe like a peachy bronzer. It's really hard for this to be one or the other. This should not be out there in the world as a duo. It's definitely not a duo. I just run my brush all throughout it and put it on my cheeks and it's good. This is super powdery, and for that reason you could go very, very ham with it, and I did go very, very ham with it. But this is the perfect like sunburnt blush bronzer combo. I do like it because, again, I like kind of a bronzer kind of moment on my cheeks. However, I don't love how powdery this is, because it is so easy to go overboard with this like bronzer-esque kind of product and then just look like a dang clown. I do like it. I will continue to use it. I don't see it being decluttered anytime soon, but it's real difficult to not go ham with that product. So then I have blushes, and I did buy 5 new blushes last year. Oops, I see some eye products I totally forgot about. I did buy 5 new blushes last year. So first and foremost, I bought the Fenty Beauty Hot Cheeks, and I did buy Juicy Peach and Baked Peach. And I feel like I really didn't need both of these. Can you tell that they look very, very much like the same color? I also feel like this came like hot on the heels of like the Rare Beauty blushes that I decided to declutter because they were too much of a highlighter versus a blush. These have a little bit deeper of a base, so I do think that these can perform as a blush / highlighter on your skin, and not like a really like peach toned blush or peach toned highlighter. Does that make any sense? They're not nearly as reflective as the Rare Beauty ones, and I bet you cannot tell that they are 2 different colors, right? I definitely didn't need both. I have used both. This one over here is Juicy Peach, and this one over here is Baked Peach, right? Even I can't tell the difference. So this is just a slight bit more coral or peachy, whereas this one's a slight bit more pinky peach. So I do like them, but I definitely did not need both of them, that's for sure. I feel like to do over again, I would probably pick the one that is a little bit more peachy. I feel like it's a lot less like, it's got a lot less of that like reflective nature in it, a lot less of that like I'm a highlighter thought process. So I definitely should have just picked up one, but I'm happy to have both, and I have tried both. I also picked up an RMS Beauty blush. This one is in the shade Pomegranate Fizz, and I love this blush. So clearly I was feeling a shimmery blush at this point in time last year, and this one is the perfect bit of luminosity to pigment. You see how it is just very luminous, whereas these ones are very like almost highlighty. I think that RMS does a powder blush really, really well, and I want to pick up more of these. I found this at JCPenney in the same place that I found the Lunar Beauty palette, and knowing that they are there makes me want to go and pick up more when my no buy is over this year. I also picked up 2 of the NYX Buttermelt blushes. I do have Had Butter, which is this kind of like orange, and I love this blush so much. Look at how crazy is that? I love this blush. This blush actually looks really, really good on my cheeks. However, I will say these blushes, you can look like a clown if you're not careful with them because they are so pigmented. And then I also have For the Butter, which is this like deep berry mauve tone, which is probably my favorite, but it's probably my favorite of the 2 because it's a little more subdued and I can get away with it a little bit easier, and I don't look like a clown if I go too ham with it like I do with the orange. Clearly the orange is probably not made for my skin tone, but I don't care. I love it. And this one leans a little bit on the purple side for this like really beautiful mauve, which, as you guys know, my fantasy self tells me, you look great in purple blush, Donna. You should buy them all. I am wearing purple blush today. I have both the Fenty Cheeks, what are these called? Suede blushes in Drama Class. Looks like this. I have that on the, like, that is the majority of it right here. And then I buffed that out with the Chanel Le Terreau de Chanel powder blush in Lavendar. I buffed it out into like the cheekbones and the eye socket and then just up so that it doesn't look as like harsh. I think it's beautiful, but also I feel like it maybe looks a little bit like a bruise. You guys will have to tell me because my fantasy self tells me I'll look good in purple, and then I put it on and I'm like, oh, I look like I've been punched. This blush gives me enough of the purple that I feel like I'm scratching that itch, but not enough of the purple that I look like I've been punched, if that makes any sense. But then we have some highlighters, and for highlighters I did buy 3. So I'll start with this one. I bought the Fenty Beauty Rose Rave Diamond Balm because I at one point in time had a diamond balm and I got rid of it because I was like, I don't love this. I don't love glitter. Why did I buy this? This is, you know, I put it on and I'm like, oh my God, this is so pretty. And I just want to like put it all over my skin. Look at how pretty it is. It's probably not made for my skin tone. Again, it does have a little bit of a peachy cast to it, but I just think it is so beautiful. It looks very wet on the skin. Can you guys see that? Oh, yes. It looks very wet on the skin, very pretty. I could see it on my collarbones and on my cheeks and all the places. I don't wear highlighter on my collarbones. Like, where even are my collarbones, to be honest? So, I have worn this, though. I do love it. I do think that it is gorgeous. I just wish that there was a time and place for me to wear it more, if I'm honest with you. I do have this ABH Glow Seeker highlighter as well. This one is in the shade Sun Idol. It looks like this. It's really heavy and real luxurious feeling in the hand, and it kind of reminds me of a more powdery version of the Amrezy highlight, and that is what it looks like. It's just such a beautiful like white gold highlight. Even though it looks very gold in here, it actually performs on the skin like a white gold. It is so pretty. I look, because of my like warm olive complexion, I look really good in a golden highlight, but it has to be like a white gold, not like a yellow gold. And then I also bought this one to bring in the pink, the Fenty Beauty Demi Glow highlight in Too Much. I loved this so much, I went and picked up another one. So what's sad about these though is they're really, really fragile in here. I'm kind of almost afraid to put it upright because it feels like it's gonna fall out. But that said, this is my pinky highlight for the month. Apparently I thought I needed a little bit of glitter, a little bit of glitter, a little bit of golden, a little bit of pinkiness. I have worn all of these highlights. I think I maybe have worn them once or twice in the last year. So I also have a pretty enormous collection. You all know this if you're not new to my channel. So like the fact that I'm going to buy a highlight and it's going to get like 20 uses in a year is probably not really reasonable. So I'm happy with the fact that I have them in my collection. They all serve a different purpose and they're all just very beautiful. I have 2 lip products that I purchased this time last year, and they're both Fenty lip oils. I will tell you, I've used one of them. I haven't used the other one. So I haven't used this one, which is a little more coppery, and honestly, I can't read the name on this, but it'll be, I think it's like cocoa something. But I have worn the lighter version, and these are okay. These are good. I would not say that these are my favorite lip oils, but they are pretty and they feel nice and luxurious on the lips, and I do feel like they keep my lips hydrated. I don't know what it is about them that makes me feel like they're not my favorite, but like my favorite lip oils are like, I love the Clarins, the regular Clarins. This one, I did buy this one. I did not like this one, but I love the Clarins. I really love the Guerlain. It's probably my favorite of the lip oils. I actually honestly really love the Clinique one as well. These ones wouldn't be my favorite, but I do love a good Fenty lip gloss. I have so many of the Fenty lip glosses in my collection, so these feel a lot more like a hybrid. In my humble opinion, these feel a lot more like a gloss oil hybrid, maybe just slightly less thick than a Fenty gloss. One thing that I like about them too is like the Fenty glosses all like smell like and kind of taste like cherries, and I don't feel like these do. So I feel like they're pretty. They're just, I don't know, they maybe just don't last as long as some of my other ones do. And then I have a whole slew of like single eye products that apparently when we were going through eyeshadow palettes, I didn't think existed in this. So I did get with the Bailey Sarian in the Melt, the Smoke Sessions 2 palette, some of the glitter gels. It says 3, but I think I only have 4 total, but these 2 were from Nightmare Before Christmas, so I don't think either one of these is them. I do know that these are. I don't know where the other one is. So I do have those. I have used both. I love these so much, although I will say, oh, I know what the other one is. The other one is, maybe I think I maybe decluttered that at the same time as I decluttered the other 2 that I'm going to talk about in a moment. It's a glitter-based eye gel, so it would be like their glitter gels, and I don't love their glitter gels. So while I love their glitter or their gel liners and will continue to use them, I also at the same time got glitter gels. So I got the Nightmare Before Christmas one and the Zero one from Nightmare Before Christmas. There's 2 Nightmare Before Christmas ones that I got, and the one from the Bailey Sarian collection. And I believe I decluttered all 3 of those because I just don't really love the glitter gels from them. And then I also got ColourPop Super Shock Shadow in the shade Ritz. Why I picked this up? Because it's supposed to be a dupe for the Urban Decay Space Cowboy Moon Dust Shadow. I love Moon Dust Shadows. Have I used it? Let me just show you. No, nope, I haven't used it. I haven't used it at all. So, I mean, not that this was a whole lot of money, but I sure wish I had, you know, I don't know, put it into something and maybe put it into my Shop My Stash and maybe used it. Maybe it'll have to go into my next Shop My Stash. I also from ColourPop picked up 4 of the multi-chrome liners. I think that the only reason why I picked up 4 is because I think there were 5 total and maybe 6 total. One of them looked very similar to another one in this stack, and the other one I didn't think I wanted. So I picked up these 4, and then next month you'll see I went in and picked up the other one that I didn't think I wanted. Now, do you need these? Probably not. And I will tell you, it is because while they are beautiful, I don't think that they really show up in the way that you want them to in an eye look, meaning that they are supposedly multi-chromes, right? And when you have like a big thick swatch of them, I think that they do present as a multi-chrome, but when you're just putting them on your lower lash line or wherever and then you're buffing it out, they just look like this. They just look like this. And I could get this from any, you know, green or purple or whatnot eyeliner in my collection. I don't think that I needed all of them, but I have them nonetheless. I think that they're beautiful. I mean, you're seeing them in the monitor, the one color, and I'm seeing them a completely different color. Like this one is a really beautiful emerald green, whereas it's more yellow in the monitor. This one is a beautiful like maroon. This one's a beautiful like deep purple, and this one's a beautiful like golden. You're definitely not seeing that in the monitor, right? So I know that they work, but I just don't. I'm glad I bought them in the ColourPop version versus like the Cleona version or the Danessa Myricks version. I got these for like, I don't know what, $5 a piece, and know that it's kind of probably really not worth the spend on the more expensive ones. I bought a NYX Jumbo Liner in the shade Black Bean, and I have actually used this quite a few times. It's just a black, not liquid liner, jumbo eye pencil. Did I say liquid liner? I meant jumbo eye pencil in the shade Black Bean. I use this mostly to go under like powder eyeshadows that are the multi-chromes or duochromes to bring those to life on my eyes. So I have used this quite extensively and I'm happy to have it in my collection. I also have a matte fluid eye paint by About Face, last but not least product. This is just a white. It's called White Out, I believe. No, it's just called white, right? Yeah, I think it's just called white. It's just a matte, it's a matte fluid eye paint that I use a lot like I use the Black Bean NYX Jumbo Crayon, a lot like I use any other primer in my collection. I use it mostly as a primer in my collection. I, however, do use these also because I have several of them in multiple different colors. I do use these also with a brush like this as a colored mascara. So I will just like, you know, swipe this on the doe foot a few times and then swipe it on my lashes a few times and get a really cool colored mascara as well. It's not necessarily made for that, and if it bothers your eyes, please don't do it. But if it bothers your eyes, it shouldn't be an eye makeup either. So there's that. With that said, that is it. That is the last product that I have to share with you as far as the products that I brought into my collection this time last year. I'm really happy to say that of the products that I brought in this time last year, one has been emptied, right? My Bad Gal Bang mascara, we all knew that that was probably going to happen. I decluttered a few things, 4 total, if you think about the glitter eye gels as well as the Professional Matte Primer. But the glitter eye gels all went to somebody else, I think my daughter, and the matte primer also went somewhere else. So they all got a good home. And there's only 2 products in this whole menagerie of stuff. There's only 2 products that have not been used yet. And I mean, they're really small products that I can see getting lost in my collection in the first place. So there's that. I'm really happy to say that I think that this purchase in June of last year, it wasn't a purchase that the money just kind of all went down the drain, right? Which it absolutely could have been. And it has been in the past when I've had purchases like this in the past. So that said, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed the video. Let me know about the products in this group of products that you have used and how you feel about them. I would be interested to hear from you. And do you keep track of the products that you brought into your collection last year and how often you're using them? And if you don't, do you have a massive collection that you have to keep tabs on those kind of things? So I do try to make sure that I'm rotating through my products enough that I'm getting use out of everything, but clearly sometimes things get missed. So that said, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope that you and yours are well. I hope that you are all safe and healthy and getting along as best that you can. I hope that you are all loving each other, being kind humans, and living your best life. And until next time, bye friends.
Here we are, June 27th. It's almost July. And I am wearing a sweater. When? When is it going to get warm? When? My mom says July 5th. We will see. We will see.